Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is July 5th. All of our British audience can go ahead and come back out after yesterday. You guys don't have to be ashamed. There was a chat that I absolutely loved. Gotta read it here as we're introducing the show. Let me scroll to it. It was from D-Gen Tolman Rick Wilson. So shout out to him. He said, I boycotted the show yesterday because I'm a 300-year-old sore British loser. I don't know if Tim realizes it, but people have passed on since then. Power to the States, and hope you all had a great day. Of course, he said only joking. This is awesome. I love seeing the little bit of banter here. But yeah, if you boycotted the show yesterday, you know, you got to do what you got to do. We did a little boycotting ourselves because we were over here celebrating freedom. I did ask in chat how many of you guys might have a freedom hangover this morning. Looks like there might be a couple of you, but it's good to be here with you guys. We got a lot to break down today. Got a special guest, James Pelton, joining the show here in a little bit with a lot of experience in trading and long-term investing and some passive income, even in the crypto realm. So I'm excited to hear more from him a little bit later on in the show. Also, in case you guys have had, a little bit of a freedom coma, maybe you haven't been paying attention to the news here recently, Coinbase has had some massive news spike with almost every single spot Bitcoin ETF filing, now listing them as their surveillance partner. What does this mean for Bitcoin, and what does this mean for Coinbase stock? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. So don't go anywhere. Go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are new here, consider subscribing to the channel. We cover everything that has to do with Bitcoin and crypto, but we also look at the stocks. We're looking at TA. We look at the news and help you break down the best things that you need to know so that you can invest wisely for yourself. With that said, I'm joined by two amazing co-hosts this morning, starting off with our Florida man, Mr. T. Shroom. How you doing this morning, T. Shroom?
Well, Tim, I'm doing better than I deserve. And I've got to say, I ate so much food yesterday. We had a lot of plans to go grill and make some food with people. And what I'll say is I went to a pool party in the daytime around lunchtime. And these whole other team of group of people were grilling up ribs and grilling up all kinds of different stuff. And they had way more than they needed. And so they were like, they came over to the other side of the pool where we were. And they were like, hey, if you guys want some ribs, come grab some ribs. And then after we ate a bunch of ribs and macaroni, then our crew was already grilling up burgers and hot dogs. And so we ate burgers and hot dogs, and that was just lunch. So you can imagine by the end of the day, man, it was a powerful force of food that I consumed. But I do have a good quote of the day, kind of in celebration of 4th of July here from George Washington. Said, happiness depends more upon the internal frame of a person's own mind than on the externals in the world. So a little kind of hitting on the stoic frame there. I would say that's definitely a stoic tenet. I don't know if George Washington was a stoic or considered himself to be one, but seems to definitely be kind of in line with the whole don't let things outside of your control affect your emotions there from George Washington. So, yeah,
T-shirt, that reminds me of, those guys that it's like they say something ridiculous and like, be a man. He had a quote that he's like, don't let anyone else ruin your day. That's your job. Be a man. And it's just a little comic way of implying something that's actually very true. The only person who can ruin your mood is you. If you have control over your emotions, if you have control over your mind, it doesn't really matter what outside forces do or say. You can still find a way to have happiness, to have joy. And in the flip side, literally everything could be going your way. Everyone around you loves you. Everything's happening for your sake, and you could still just choose to be unhappy. Happiness comes from within. It's not thrust upon you. But I have another quote before we go over to Piper here. Because, this is just our new tradition. I gotta have a Michael Scott quote. And this one's in light of, this last weekend, we did have some Twitter updates that happened, and there's temporary pausing. You couldn't really read that many tweets because we were trying to defeat the bots, right? Well, Michael Scott chimes in about bots. I think Michael Scott would have been a major Elon supporter. Go ahead and share my screen here, Piper.
Tim, you would have to share your screen with me first, Tim.
All right, so I was just hoping that you'd be a magician here, Piper, and that you would just magically reach through the interwebs and get my screen from me. There we go. All right, here we go. Michael Scott chiming in on bots. People will never be replaced by machines. In the end, life and business are about human connections, and computers are about trying to murder you in a lake. And to me, the choice is easy. Yeah, so that's what bots are all about. They are just about murdering you in a lake. That's why Elon had to work with Twitter and defeat them. Piper, first of all, how are you doing this morning, and what are your thoughts about these two quotes?
I'm doing fantastic today. I can't complain. I'm excited about being back with the bros again after the 4th of July. But I don't think that machines want to try to drown us in a lake, because that would mean that machines are taking us to the lake, and I can survive in water much better than a machine, Tim. Come on, man.
Well, they're I guess there's certain words I don't want to say on YouTube, but they don't care if they take themselves out in the process of eliminating humans, I guess is the best way to phrase that one. Yeah, there's I'm learning the game here on YouTube. There's certain words and phrases you stay away from, and you got to be tactful with. But either way, guys in chat, let us know, what did you do for 4th of July? How was it? And how are you guys doing today? We're about to jump in here with our content, but first we got to do some reading of the names. I am going to be brief today because we do want to get into all this juicy content. So I'm only going to read a handful of names today. So shout out to everybody who's early in chat. Starting off with the first commenter of the day, Mr. Amello Fellow, saying GM and MG. Hope everyone had a good America day. And then he had some explosions in US in there. So love to see it. Crypto Pew Pew Cruz was second. And the third one coming in was Mr. Elo Brown, saying the three amigos united again. Yes, yeah, but usually it's in a different order. Anyway, thank you to everybody who's here. We also are joined by OBC 88 Ace. Mayak Mockton, love to see it. Good name here. Who else do we have? Mr. J is here this morning. Crypto JMP Eubanks. Let's see. Mike Play Chaos Incorporated. T-Shroom with the blue wrench is here as well. Mike Lowry with the blue wrench is here. Who else do we have? Just a couple more here. I already read D. Gentleman. That's Rick Wilson. Good to see you here. Curtis Rorick is here. Ninja Glock is here. Gia S is here. Remington Peralt. Tyler Main. Brian D. And I'm going to get three more. Philly Skills 1428. Let's see. Bob is here. And the last one I'm going to read, Crypto Trades. Welcome, everybody. If I did not read your name, I'm so sorry. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means it's time to go ahead and get on into the content. We got over 60 people watching, only 35 likes, though. So go ahead and smash that like button, everybody, as you prepare for your crypto update. Starting with our economic update of the morning. Piper, what are we seeing over there on that front?
All right, Tim. So jumping in here and taking a look at what we have going on today in the macroeconomic world. FOMC minutes will be coming out today. That will be a transcript of what was actually said in the FOMC meeting for June. And, a lot of smart people are going to be digging through there trying to figure out exactly what the Powellisms meant and what he said and what the Federal Reserve actually talked about. So that's the big one today. For the rest of the week, tomorrow, we've got JOLTS job openings. So that's going to tell us how many job openings are in America. Looking like right now, for consensus and forecast, that we are going to be actually down from what we had open for the previous month in May. So we'll see how that works out. And then we're going to close out Friday with unemployment and payroll. See if people got, a pink slip or if they got a pay raise. So that's what we got there on that. Let's go ahead and jump over. Check out Trueflation, guys. Trueflation down another 1/100%. We are now down to 2.21%, almost back to 2% below what the Federal Reserve is reporting for the U.S. Gov. Remember, this is done off of the old methodology, so looking pretty good there. According to Trueflation, we are almost to the 2% that Jerome Powell says we need to get to. So I don't know. I think their new methodology actually hurting their narrative here. And last but not least, quick look here at the 24-hour liquidations. Looks like we're sitting at 24 hours, $89.6 million in liquidations. Looking like a lot of a lot of long liquidations, I should say, because we're seeing some downside on a lot of the charts. Tim, let's go ahead and kick it back over to you. You can show the FOMC there.
Yeah, we're looking here. We're about 3 weeks away, 21 days from today. We're going to be getting our next Fed rate hike, and more than likely it will be a rate hike, guys. 87% still calling for one more to happen. I do want to up your spirits, though, guys, because, yeah, in 21 days, if this holds up, I do anticipate at least a little bit of a stopper on the rise of Bitcoin's price. I mean, another rate hike, it's gonna detract and hurt investors, but be of good cheer, guys, because guess what? In 29 days, we'll get our first preseason football game. And then in 52 days, we'll get our first meaningful football game when college football starts on August 26th. So it's not all doom and gloom, maybe just for the crypto world here. But the good side is, and we've talked about this before, just in case, though, this is your first time joining us or you haven't been here in a little minute, we have Jerome Powell predicting 2 more rate hikes this year, followed by potentially 2 years before we get any sort of cuts. Well, we're still predicting we're not going to get any higher than this 525 to 550. And at this point, there's kind of debate in March of 2024. CME's getting close. Ooh, that just flipped this morning. So while we were alive, this flipped. Right now, 34% are predicting March of 2024 will be the first rate cut. But overwhelmingly, well, overwhelming is the wrong word because it changed a lot here, but it is saying for certain there's a lot more votes coming in that we're going to have 1 or 2 rate cuts in May of 2024. This is a positive sign right now. Again, Jerome Powell saying one thing, the CME futures predictors are saying another. Which do you believe? We got a lot of time before that plays out, but that's where we're kind of sitting at the moment. Keep moving on. If you struggle to tell the time, guys, you guys can check out this watch right here, brought to you by the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. That's really fancy. I don't think I've ever owned a watch that fancy. Maybe that's why it thinks I need to get one.
Does that watch tell you when the DCA, Tim? Is that what it's time to buy?
It's a Rolex, so I would hope, because those costs are pretty expensive. You know, I heard that it's really hard to actually buy a Rolex. Like, they market them everywhere and you can go find them in stores, but then they're not actually for sale in that store. Like, it's this whole marketing campaign where it's like, oh, we're going to advertise them to you, but they don't actually exist. Hey, it's working.
Tim, I think what's happening here is that you've made so much gains in this past year that you have been looking at Rolexes, and now it's popping up in your feed. I think that's what's going on here.
This is also kind of offensive, Piper, because we're one of the few crypto channels out there that are always on time. Why are they giving us watches? Maybe they're implying that we are so good at it. Oh, maybe this is it. And this last thing I'll say, and then we'll get to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. Maybe they're saying we're so good at telling time, we deserve a luxury watch, and that is a Rolex. Now they're still going to want us to pay full price and everything, but
we're the poster child for being on time.
Yeah. I think that's it. All right, let's keep going on. Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index sitting in greed this morning at 61. We had to say something kind of entertaining because there's really nothing entertaining about the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index at this point. Yesterday, it did peak up to 64. Of course, if you guys were watching the charts, at one point, we were popped back up over 31,000. This morning, we're sitting down at 30,263 as I'm speaking. We'll talk about that here in just a second, but I've told you guys before, despite the fact that we are in the greed, I still think that we're sitting in a good spot. My expectation is that when we start approaching 36 to 40K here just in a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, don't be surprised to see this greed tick all the way up, high 80s, low 90s, and that's when you really got to start being cautious. I would say if we hit 90 on the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, that's a good sign to go ahead and start taking some profits if you have not taken some before that already. Speaking of it, though, let's go ahead and flip over. Got to reconnect here, Bitcoin charts. Before I jump in and do this, guys, I want you guys to know a new partner and sponsor of the channel is Pionex. Now, Pionex, you're going to see us do a lot more with them. A great option for U.S. citizens to trade. Yes, you do have to KYC, but you still get a massive amount of pairs. You get to trade a lot of different things. And one of the coolest things I was looking at this morning, guys, watch this. In the next couple of shows, I'm going to be showing you guys some trades I'm going to be entering over there. Do I need to zoom in here so you guys can see it a little better? This is the maker and taker fee. Maker 0.05%, taker 0.05%. Let's put this in perspective just so you guys understand this. If you're trading on Coinbase, for example, because you can still trade in US on Coinbase, unless you're trading with $400 million, raise your hand in chat if you're trading with $400 million. Unless you're trading with $400 million, you don't get this same fee. In fact, if you're trading with anything less than 10,000, you pay 0.6%. Let me also put this in perspective. 0.05%, guys. If you're making a trade, let's say you're trading with $1,000. That means you're going to pay a whopping 50 cents to enter and exit a trade of $1,000. When you're looking at, when you look at Coinbase, you're looking at, what is that, 0.6? You're looking at like $60. I think that's what it is. I think you pay $60 on Coinbase to trade for if you have $1,000 trade, you'll pay $60 to put in and $60 to take out. Over here on Pionex, you'll pay 50 cents to take in, 50 cents to take out. I'm not the one who tells you what to do with your money. You guys do whatever you guys want to do, but keep that in perspective. Let's get in here with Bitcoin. Thank you so much to Pionex, guys. Check out that link down below if you guys are looking for a great spot. If you're in America and you're struggling to trade, go check out Pionex. One thing I'm going to point out here, yes, technically we're a little bit below it, but you guys are going to see we've kind of had wicks go above and below. We're in this rising trading channel that also could be called a bull flag. We're still holding up. Yes, yeah, we're looking at a candle be a little bit below it right now, but when I pull up these charts, we're not quite overbought yet on our Chart Prime oscillator. By the way, special shout out to Chart Prime as well. Of course, they're still a partner of the channel. RSI, though, is dropping low. Like here on RSI Primed, we are down below the 30, down at 26. Is this massively overextended? Are we massively oversold on the 4-hour chart? Maybe not. We are on the hourly chart when I come down here. And again, yes, we're below that blue line, but let's look at this one. We are flashing on the Chart Prime oscillator oversold over here, and our RSI is sitting all the way down at, what is that? 7. Now, hourly chart only relevant within, the next couple of hours, maybe a day at the longest. However, not going to be surprised to see another bounce. I think a break is coming here very soon. I would say I'm a little bit surprised that we're still within this trading channel and not moving to the upside, up towards some of these ranges we've talked about, between about 33.5 and all the way up to 36,000. You guys know that's still where I'm kind of looking at for a Bitcoin pump. But anyone who's looking at price suppressed right now, getting down to 30,200, I just wanted to put that back into perspective for you. This is still holding up within a rising trading channel. And just because we wick a little bit below, what I'm going to want to see that might put some doubt in my mind is some candle body closes on the 4-hour chart below this blue line. As you can see, we have no candle body closes below. We have these wicks right here, but no candle bodies closes below this level. Yes, right up here too. It's not touching wicks or candles perfectly, but we had one candle close above, a little bit of a fake out, and then drop back down into it. This channel is holding up quite nicely. You know what's going to be weird about today? I'm going to be ending TA a little bit shorter because we have a special guest here. If we have time left over at the end, which we probably won't, we'll probably get into more TA, but definitely tomorrow morning we'll do more. However, the biggest one of the day that I want to take a look at, it's not a crypto at all. In fact, crypto today is kind of squarely in the red. We're not really going to have a market open today, so I'll just let you guys know everything on my crypto watch list is in the red. The biggest loser so far, Cody's down 4%. You know what? There's one coin on my watch list that's not in the red today, and that's Bencoin. Do with that what you will. I'm not going to sit here and pump or dump on that one because I'm just not going to. With my job, I don't really want to go into price speculation on that one too much. What I do want to look at, though, is Coinbase chart. Let's go over here, guys. Some crazy things are happening. This morning, we actually broke through this level. If you go back out to the daily chart here on Coinbase, we talked about this last week during our market watch, that there was a gap here on Coinbase that needed to be filled. And the last couple of days, we were flirting with that line, but this morning, we went ahead and shot all the way through. Yes, we are getting an overbought price action coming on Coinbase right now, and we are sitting very high in the RSI here on the daily chart. We're seeing the same thing on the 4-hour. We're getting overbought. We actually flashed overbought back here. Ooh, actually, this is kind of bullish, guys. It's gonna kind of flow into what I'm about to say here. But we were getting overbought flashes and super high RSI on Coinbase 4-hour. Let's see what the hourly chart's doing. Flashing overbought and then super high again. This actually, you could call this bearish divergence if we start getting some red candles. I want to see the red candles first before I make that declaration. But if we do get some red candles here that close, you're going to look at right here, we're getting some bearish divergence on the hourly chart. What is my point here? Am I saying, up, guys, that was the pump, that's it, we're done, go ahead and take off? No, that's not at all what I'm saying. First of all, this is a situation where I love charts. You guys know I love charts. But anyone who reads charts and then just stuffs earplugs in their ears when it comes to news, you're making a mistake. I mean, I'm all about charts. I believe that charts tell you a story that news cannot tell you, but at the same time, there are times where news is super big. And of course, we're going to discuss this a little bit later, but the big news of the week so far is that these Bitcoin spot ETFs, brought to you by BlackRock and brought to you by ARK and brought to you by Fidelity, they are all filing. They're refiling, excuse me. They're refiling with the SEC that Coinbase will be their surveillance partner. Well, on that news alone, we saw within like an hour, Coinbase pump like 12%. We saw within a very short time, Coinbase pump over 12%. In fact, what are we sitting at right now from this bottom that we had? Even though this isn't when the news came out, from this little bottom, we've watched Coinbase pump 73% since back here on June 6th. So in less than 1 month, 73% pump on Coinbase. Some of that just being because it was overextended to begin with. But especially when you see this news, do not underappreciate how much money is going to be involved with spot ETFs. And the fact that Coinbase gets to have their hand involved with all of it is going to be massive. Let me take a look at the fixed range volume profile here. Let's go all the way back. Let's see. This is May 2022. Let's just even go back to right here. Let's go back to this peak because I also want to look at Fibonacci levels with you guys for a second. We're sitting above even the value area high back here at $68. Let's see, it's a $68 or so. Love what I'm seeing here. That's not going to tell us too much of a story. When I pull up my Fibonacci levels here, we are going to see going up to this peak we had. When was this? Back in August of 2022. And we go all the way down to what was the bear market low. Some levels I want to keep my eyes on, guys. You guys can see we just blasted through the 0.5. Keep your eyes on this golden pocket where we had 2 touches, one in March of this year, one in February of this year. Keep your eye on that range between about $84 to $86. But then after that, I'm expecting, do not be surprised, guys, to see us again with a very bullish rally start to ignore these overbought flashes, these red triangles, everything, and continue to move to the upside. That is the mark of bullish momentum. And I'm telling you right now, with this news happening with BlackRock, with Fidelity, with ARK, all choosing Coinbase, this is something that will cause a bullish rally and a real bull market start here later. Don't be surprised to see dips along the way. The reason why I'm pointing out these levels, this golden pocket, this platinum pocket, do not be surprised, guys, to see potential at least pauses of price, if not even retracement. So you come up here, maybe you retrace back down to 50 before making a push up to platinum pocket. Maybe you just come up here and you trade sideways within the golden pocket before making a push to the platinum pocket. Either way, I don't think it's going to be very long. And I say very long, I mean within the next year, within the next couple of months, I bet, as soon as these spot ETFs are approved, to outdo this August high we had and then start making our way back up. Again, there was so much attention when this got launched here back in April of 2021. I think with these partnerships and the trillions of dollars, yes, with a T, trillions of dollars that these companies that they're partnering with are going to have, do not be surprised to see Coinbase quickly go set brand new highs, beat these highs back here in November of 2021 and set brand new ones. This is absolutely parabolic for the price of Coinbase, and we will keep you guys posted on this as it comes along. With that said, though, it is time to switch away from TA for just a second here. We're going to bring on our special guest, James Pelton. Now, James is somebody who's newer to me. I know that Piper and T-Shroom have gotten to meet him a little bit, but I'm super excited to hear everything I've heard about him. I'm really excited for you guys to get to know him better. I want to get his take on some of these topics as well. So first of all, James, how are you doing today? How was your 4th of July?
Oh man, it was amazing. I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but we celebrated the 4th on the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. We'll probably still do a little bit today. So my voice is starting to go, but yeah, we've had a great time. So
I think historically I heard somewhere that it's a little interesting we celebrate on the 4th because I think the actual signing happened on the 2nd. And then I can't remember what it was. Something happened on the 4th is the reason why I celebrate the 4th. But in all reality, that Declaration of Independence was signed on July 2nd. So I'm all about it. Yeah, celebrate the whole week. America deserves a week for the freedom. But that's awesome to hear. James, before I get your take, there we go. Thank you, Piper. Before I get your take on crypto and even in the stock market, specifically Coinbase stock, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. From what I understand, you're not this like hedge fund kid. You didn't just have all this money when you grew up. You were somebody who created a good amount of generational wealth from nothing. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your investment journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, I'm a software developer by trade. So I went to school for that, and then got really tired of working for other people. I started a company on e-commerce and made them $1 million in their first year. And they were
Cool.
like, "Oh, thank you. We'll take you out for lunch for that." And so
Nice.
I decided, you know what, I'm done writing software for other people. So I started my own company. Sent out mass text messages, so I'm the cause of a lot of U.S. spam text messages, and I'm actually feel guilty about that contribution to society a little bit. But I started that business and grew that to at 12 employees and 40,000 customers, and then sold that in 2020.
Wow.
Found my way to investing. Started doing venture capital, real estate. I was, I'm going to be a real estate tycoon now. Is kind of my thinking. Found
Yeah.
my way to crypto, and I was like, wow, crypto. There's better returns. It's there's no tenants. I mean, you have to deal with project founders, but there's no tenants. And so once I got to crypto, never really looked back, and just wanted to start kind of sharing my journey with people. My wife was telling me, "Hey, I don't want to hear any more about your crypto projects. You're talking about it all the time." She said, "Start a YouTube channel." So I did that. So you can find me on
There
YouTube,
you go.
James Pelton. Crypto, passive income. That's kind of what I focus on. Financial education, things like that. Not financial advice.
There
Just
we
want to
go.
get
Boom.
that out of the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, financial nudgings. That's what I call them. So, and other than that, part-time pastor. I love Jesus. He's
Come
the
on.
center of a lot of what I do.
Amen.
So yeah, just love crypto, love the decentralization, little
Yeah.
bit libertarian, little bit
Uh-oh.
not anti-government, but uh, well, against government a little bit. Well, a little bit anti-government. We'll say that. But yeah, that's kind of
Listen,
me in a nutshell.
James, there is nothing that any politician ever says that is wrong. There's a reason why they were voted in. And we need to just blindly listen to what they say and agree with them, or else ultimately is our stance over it. Just kidding. That's not our stance
Yeah,
at all.
yeah. No, I
James,
mean, I'm trying to learn from you guys on how to do that better. So
yeah.
thank you.
Tim, if you ever say
No,
that
I'm
out
glad.
loud again, I'm going to have to mute you. Just so you
Good.
know. Just so you know.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
let me just
You
say
know,
one thing about that. So the SEC, for example, we'll use that. Okay.
Great group of
But
guys.
they say we're out to protect small investors, right? Like that's the goal of
yeah.
the SEC. We're trying to protect small investors. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's such a good thing. So there's all these venture capital deals that come my way. And if you're not an accredited investor, so if you don't have $1 million net worth, it's like you can't get into these investments. And I'm like, wow, these are like collateralized loans paying 25% a year.
Mm,
Why can like poorer people not get into these? It's like, well, it's to protect small investors. Then I'm in the Denver airport and they have scratch ticket vending machines in the Denver airport. I'm like, well, if you're trying to protect small investors, get rid of the scratch
mhm.
ticket vending machines. I mean, those are the worst. Those are the worst thing that could happen to poorer people. So
Yeah.
then I realized, oh wait, maybe they're not actually out to protect smaller investors, and
Yeah.
then I'm not a fan.
You know, as we move in, we were talking about this a little bit pre-show. Me and Piper and Tish Room. Yeah, we're a crypto channel. We're an investment channel. We want to be able to cover stocks and stuff too. I mean, like you said, James, like something I want to do in the future, and that's one of the reasons why we chose the channel name Investing Bros, not Crypto Bros or Trading Bros or anything. I want to get involved in real estate and just learn to invest and make money for my family and for others as well. Like you, we love Jesus. I'm a very big believer in the concept of when you serve. I'm not a prosperity gospel type person, but I do think there's some biblical knowledge of like, hey, when you care about others and you surround yourself with others and you honor and glorify God with your blessings, He blesses you with more. He when you're faithful with little, He blesses you with more. But
And
even more so, as we talk about the political side of it, there's a concept for the longest time. I've been now doing crypto YouTube stuff for about 3 years, roughly. And what we always tried to stay away from the political. We always try to say, you know what, we're just going to talk about crypto. We're just going to talk about price action. Let's not involve political idolization. And it's like we're getting to a point, James, where we have to, as a crypto investor, you have to be dabbling in the political world because it's an all-out war at this point. I mean, half of our government currently is actively trying to remove our abilities and rights to be investing and making income with crypto. And so it's one of those things that we'll move on here into some other topics, but I love everything you've talked about so far. And I agree with you. It's getting to a place where it's like, dang, crypto is becoming political, and crypto shows are going to have to start getting political. Otherwise, we're not doing a good job of actually educating our communities on what's really happening and the wisest investment choices. Politics is playing a huge part. So, man, that's good to hear, though.
It's important that we kind of educate people because, at least here in the States, we have the power to vote people in, right? And so I think it's good to educate people. I'm not like anti-government. I'm just anti some of the things the government's doing right now. And so, but we can inform, hey, you guys are voters. Here are some of the issues I think that you should be looking at. I think you should be looking at, is the SEC actually trying to help people, and look for political candidates who are going to help us in the future. So, no, totally agree.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump in here, James. I want to start off with maybe even the Coinbase stuff. This is the big news. What are your thoughts about when you're hearing about these spot ETFs and you're hearing about now this new partnership? They're now pretty much everyone's naming Coinbase as their surveillance partner. What are your expectations about the stock portfolio of Coinbase? Is there anyone else you're looking at with this whole situation that you're saying, hey, these are looking like some good investments that people should be keeping their eyes on? Again, non-financial advice. I guess here's the best way let me rephrase this, James. In what ways are you looking to invest your money with these new updates of these spot ETFs and Coinbase partnership? Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, no, it's and so I've spent a lot of time in traditional markets, right, where the big money players are the ones who move things around. And so it's kind of a little bit bittersweet to see some of these big money people finding their way into crypto. It's obviously sweet because it's like, okay, BlackRock, maybe they bring another 500 billion into the crypto market, which is, half the total market cap that's there right now. And so it's like, well, that would be good. More money coming into all these investments I'm holding on to, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, all these things. That would probably be good, having more capital come in. But at the other side, I'm very concerned, just keeping an eye on, because I know how traditional markets, how big money has affected them. And so I'm just keeping an eye on that, and just, I don't want the crypto market to turn into the traditional markets. So just kind of keeping an eye, cautiously optimistic about that. New capital coming in is exciting. And we'll see how some of this regulation stuff turns out. I think one thing we're going to see, Bitcoin dominance continue to go up. I think this is going to help Bitcoin and possibly Ethereum a lot more than it's going to help altcoins, because like these ETFs that are coming, none of them are going to be altcoin ETFs, at least for a while. That's just not what we're going to see. They're going to be Bitcoin ETFs. So if BlackRock brings in $200 billion, it's going to be in Bitcoin and possibly Ethereum. So I think that's one thing to just keep in mind, is we've always seen when Bitcoin pumps, everything else pumps with it. I think we might see Bitcoin dominance start to go up as it's considered, a viable alternative asset. I think that's one thing that we're going to see. So I am excited about that. I don't know how I feel about Coinbase. I don't like the government getting involved. That's always been the beauty of Bitcoin is, okay, crypto's over here doing its thing. The government can go do its thing. And honestly, we've seen the government kind of ruin the dollar. We've seen them just ruin the markets. And I don't know. I would rather they just kind of stay away. I kind of liked it more when it was crypto out doing its own thing. So we'll see. We'll see. And who knows if Bitcoin, if it's possible for big money to manipulate it. They want to, but that's kind of one of the goals with Bitcoin is it's programmatically, you're not able to print more. You're not able to control it the way that you might financial markets. 60, 70% of Bitcoin is already being held by people, and they don't have to sell it. And so we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But for sure, one thing I would recommend is, even if you don't agree with some of the things going on, you don't want the government involved, things like that, still keep an eye on things, because you can make money even on things you don't agree with. Like, I don't like necessarily the government and BlackRock and all these ETFs getting in, but it's like, well, I can make some money on Bitcoin in the meantime. So that's kind of my take. But yeah, Bitcoin number one for me. I do really like Ripple. It seems like banks are opening up to the idea of crypto, and it seems like they're not going to be able to build their own technology that easily. And so it seems like Ripple's kind of a natural partner for a lot of these banks. And then Ethereum, just because it's been established. I think Ethereum's terrible. I try not to do anything on Ethereum, but it is established. So that's kind of where I think we're at.
James, I think there's something you said there. It's really true. And I've kind of had this internal wrestling with, man, like the government getting there. The government touches anything and they turn it to absolute poop. But my belief, I honestly think that when it comes to the likes of Bitcoin, don't get me wrong, there is a level that if the government controlled this much of it, this many aspects of it, especially if they control the mining of it, which is one of the reasons why we need to be very outspoken against some of these proposals that the U.S. government and other governments around the world are making in terms of regulating mining. Ultimately, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get it to where they're the only miners. We need to keep the mining decentralized. I think if the government owned too much of Bitcoin itself, I mean, the more centralized the actual coins are being held, the less valuable. So there's not really an incentive for them to do that. You need it to spread out so it has value. And in that way, as much as I don't love when the government puts their hands on things, could Bitcoin be a Trojan horse that the world has been looking for in the financial world? I mean, is that maybe going to be the brilliance of Satoshi Nakamoto when he created it? Obviously, it was an anti-fiat currency, an anti-centralized currency creation. But was it a Trojan horse the whole time? It's like, hey, eventually the governments are going to get their hands on it because they're going to see the value. And they're not going to realize it's going to implode from the inside because they can't control it. The only way they can control it is if they control the mining. And I think there are still efforts out there. Here's the other good thing that I think we've talked about on the show before. Could we even see governments around the world, like Russia, like China, like the US, like other major nations? Is there a little bit of a wrestling of the governments have to start mining it just to keep it from another country owning the majority? Because that's where clearly America wants the majority of it, but so is China's going to want it, and Russia, and those countries don't all get along. So what's the way to keep one country from getting too much power? If every government is holding it in their backings, if they're mining it, the decentralization wins, and we as the people win. I am curious to see, and maybe I'm going to get your take on this one, because I love this topic we kind of stumbled onto. Do you see Bitcoin being the future currency of the world, or do you see Bitcoin being like the new gold? It's going to be a great, I don't even know if I'm going to say backer of money, just great store of value, but yet we end up using a CBDC or a stable coin of some way to actually make our transactions. Do you think that Bitcoin could be transacted on the regular basis, or do you think we're going to find some other currency for that?
I think we're going to find some other currency. I think it's going to be store of value. Lightning Network works great, but I think, well, at least in the States, and it's going to vary, country to country. Each country, one thing that other countries are seeing is as the U.S. kind of cracks down on crypto, we can loosen on crypto and we'll get U.S. companies to come here. And there's a lot of, I spent a lot of time in Dubai, and the UAE has really found out, hey, we can get a lot of people to come here by just being loose on regulations, loose on taxes. U.S. very heavy on taxes, very heavy on regulation. And so, if the world governments were all united on, hey, let's take control of this, then I think there might be more trouble with that. But I think the U.S. alone, if they crack down, hey, we want to take all the miners, we're going to kill mining in the USA. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm working with a number of projects where they just moved to Argentina. They just moved to Paraguay, and they're going to do their mining there. And I'm seeing more and more of that. And you get cheaper electricity down there. You can go to Paraguay, get 3 cents a kilowatt hour electricity. Wow. And it's going to be hard for U.S. miners to compete with that. So I think I think the U.S. is kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Which, Second Amendment, that's fine. You can do that in the U.S. and no problem. But yeah, there you go. Hey, I need that symbol on my Stream Deck here. That'd be great. But I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna do their best. But yeah, I don't think you can transact. That's not why Bitcoin was designed, was to transact in that way. So Lightning Network works great, but the government's going to have to get on board with that, and I don't think they ever will. So they're gonna want to create their own CBDC so they can tax it. They can limit you if you have too much carbon. You lit off too many fireworks. They saw, hey, you spent $2,000 on fireworks. That's too much carbon emission. You're done for the month, and things like that. They're going to want to do. But I think it's going to be a great store of value going forward. So that's my personal take.
going back to the Dubai and UAE thing, who would have thought? Who would have thunk it that if you lower taxes and lower regulation, that you could have a thriving, booming economy? What is
Yeah,
that?
I mean, who knew?
I was
Who
under the
knew?
impression.
I would have never guessed that. I
Yeah,
thought restriction would make things
yeah,
explode more, but yeah, I guess I was
man.
wrong. Learn something new.
Gosh. Well, here's the thing. We're going to jump here in just a minute, but before we go, I want to get your take. Give me. I know you talked about Bitcoin. You talked about XRP. We're very bullish on both of those projects, obviously long term. If you could give me, I don't care if it's a stock that you're liking, I don't care if it's a stable coin because you think everything's about to go down or other. Give me 3 more cryptos or investment platforms or what investment opportunities that you are loving right now that you're not recommending to anyone because we're not financial advisors. You're just saying, hey, these are 3 things that I really like, and it's not called Bitcoin or Ripple. What is that?
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, the big two. If anyone asks me, "Hey, I want to get into crypto, what should I do?" Okay, that's always the number one thing I tell people. It's the simplest, it's the safest. That's what I say. You already mentioned Ripple. Really big on that. Ethereum, even though terrible technology, it's where a lot of the big money is. It's considered safe for one reason or another. So, I mean, the next ETFs that come out probably going to Ethereum seems like a natural next step. As for like altcoins, I say look for things that actually are doing something. So someone tweeted a little while ago, if blockchain technology went away, who would be affected? And I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, really nobody. Like, it's really not doing anything in the real world in a way that would affect anyone if it went away. So I've been looking for projects that are using the blockchain to do new things that couldn't be done without the blockchain. So I really like the DAG constellation. Is an altcoin, and these are very low market caps, so they're going to be super volatile. So again, you're not going to 1000x on Bitcoin because it's too high. You might 10x. You could maybe 100x eventually, but it's going to be hard to get big gains with Bitcoin. So it's going to be kind of safer, lower returns. But then some of these altcoins like Constellation DAG, they're building an ecosystem of just projects using the hypergraph, a little bit different than blockchain. That's another topic for another day. But they're using blockchain technology to do a lot of really cool things. BioFi is the super 600K market cap that I've been working with, and they're putting biometrics on the blockchain in really interesting ways. They're working on, in Africa, one biometric scan, one vote to get rid of voter fraud in Africa. They're just doing a lot of really cool things that I think could change the way things are done. And really, if you just look at the Constellation ecosystem, there's a ton of projects on there that are actually doing something. Genico is looking to put your health data on the blockchain so that you can sell it if you'd like to, rather than your doctor or whatever giving that information to pharmaceutical companies. There's a lot of money around your info, and a lot of what Constellation's doing is putting that on the blockchain and making you own your data rather than the other companies. So if I had to name just a couple, I would say DAG is the coin name, BioFi, Genico. Those are just a few of them. And then I really like, for passive income plays, I'm a big fan of a lot of these like mining NFTs. If you don't want to buy your own Bitcoin miner or your own Cadena miner or something like that, there's a lot of new projects that are spinning up where, hey, buy an NFT for $500 and you're a part owner now of a S7 miner, and they're going down to Paraguay and things like that. So I would have you take a look at Alpha Shares is one, Fraction Miner. There's a whole bunch of different mining companies like that, but that's what I'm kind of biggish on right now.
Dude, that's awesome. James, it has been a pleasure having you on here, man. I know we got to go because we got to go into other stuff, but I want to get you back on really soon. I would love to even do a longer, maybe pre-recorded interview and get into some more details of our thoughts on crypto in general, but also more. I know we didn't even get to really dive into all the passive income stuff, which I know you're really big on. So we'll get you back on here soon and talk more about that. Guys, make sure you guys go, and right now you guys can see his Twitter handle right there below his face. Also in the description, T-shirt, we put his YouTube channel, correct?
That is correct.
Boom. Go follow James right now. He's going to be coming back on here really soon. James, great to meet you. Great having you on here, man. You have a great day. We'll talk again soon.
So much for having me. I'm always happy to come back. My knowledge level is here. My opinion level is here. So always happy to come and talk about things that I am not qualified to talk about. So yeah, anytime, let me know.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, James. Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. We're about to transition, guys, into our headlines for today because we got about 15 minutes left. But, oh, man, I am very glad we brought James on. I'm very glad. That was.
We tried to tell you, Tim. We tried to tell you.
He's one of my new. He just jumped up into one of my new favorite people in the crypto world. And
I was
strong list.
I was with him on Crypto Gym Hunters, and I was instantly impressed. So I knew he was a guest for our show, and he fits right in with the bros. So yeah.
Dude, James.
Yeah, he
is
dropped
awesome.
some names of investments I had not heard of before. So that was
I know.
cool.
I had not either. Again,
I know
T-shirt. Like, we only got to have him. Go ahead.
T-shirt was over there writing all those down as he said them.
I was
the whole time.
Yeah, we only had him for about 20 minutes, and about 5 of that was just getting to know what it is. I can't wait when we get him some more content with him to get some more of his ideas. And
awesome.
I just want to say, last thing I'll say, and then we're gonna move on to the headlines. I love the fact how he ended. I love that he's like my level of understanding is right here, but my level of opinions are right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, guys. People that think like that they humble themselves and say, I really only understand this much. 9 out of 10 times, those guys know a lot more than the people who claim to know this much. So great guy. We got to move on, though. We got to move on with the show. T-Shroom, what do we got on the headlines this morning?
Absolutely. Well, you and James spoke about it a decent amount, but I'll get down to what was reported on CoinDesk. This is BlackRock Bitcoin ETF application refiled, naming Coinbase as a surveillance sharing partner. So in case you were listening to the conversation between Tim and James and you had no idea what was going on, we're going to bring you a little bit of those details right now. BlackRock's proposed Bitcoin exchange traded fund joining rivals in naming the U.S. exchange Coinbase as the market that will be monitored in a so-called surveillance sharing agreement. So a lot to unpack there, but this comes after these two things happened. That originally the June 15th filing for BlackRock ETF called for surveillance sharing agreement, but did not name which exchange would serve as the partner in the deal. And then the SEC fired back saying it was inadequate. That was the word of the day. And then this is what's happened is BlackRock has named Coinbase as the monitor for the surveillance sharing agreement. I will note that the SEC has not commented on that yet, but there's a lot of analysts who are thinking that should be adequate, not inadequate. So we'll see. And if the SEC responds and says that that's adequate, then you're going to see a big move to the upside for all of these names, for Coinbase, certainly, for BlackRock, for Bitcoin. And maybe even some alts that are in on the party. But we'll keep moving here because we've talked about that quite a bit. Some sour news here. Binance Australia raided by regulators in dramatic twist of events. I won't get into the details too much here, but CZ did comment. He said they're focused on meeting local regulatory standards in order to serve our users in Australia in a fully compliant manner that is a representative of Binance saying that CZ. So there you go. I won't get into the details of this too much, but I will point out just some quick analysis on there that FTX, when before it went down, Australia had an open investigation. It was the only country that was currently investigating FTX. So do with that information what you will. I hope the best for Binance, but if ever there was going to be a time for things to go south, it could be now. So just keep that in mind as you're moving money around.
But when I read this story, T-Shroom, I think that's a good clarifying note that you just gave right there. That is good to know. But I'm also watching how many articles have we seen within the last month of governments, like government entities, coming down harshly on Binance? That's another thing to just keep your eyes on. Why is there all these countries in unison coming against Binance? And then when you go into the politics of each of these countries that are kind of harshly going after Binance, A lot of them do lean towards something James is talking about, that heavy, we're trying to save the retail investors. But there's ultimately their regulation is just restrictions on freedoms, restrictions on people's ability to invest wisely for themselves. So I'm not going to make a hardcore like, oh, that this is proof that Binance is innocent. Although we've seen Binance and CZ, they've been backing themselves up. They've been doing everything correctly, and yet they're still getting these heavy attacks from governments across the world. To me, I actually see this T-Shroom as a point in the direction of I think there's an all finance because they're continuing to go the path of decentralized and take power away from centralized authorities. That's just my opinion. I want to see it play out. If there's something damning like what happened with FTX, again, I want to see them shut down just like anybody else. But that's not what we've seen so far. So I want to see how this continues to unpack.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt that the timing of this is not coincidental. I mean, you have the big thaw from China, right? Was kind of a big and significant movement as Hong Kong creates ways for institutional investors to enter exposure to Bitcoin. But then you saw the U.S. kind of fire back and say, hey, uh, you know, you know, the SEC is not completely ruling out a spot ETF from one of the biggest American banks, BlackRock, right? And then a bunch of other American financial institutions go ahead and apply for that as well. So, America has just made a big move right after China kind of played a card, and all the while, what's going on in the background is Binance, is kind of like this third non-nation party that has a lot of power and influence in crypto. And so China and the US both want both want Binance dead. They're an enemy of both states. From my perspective, I could be wrong on that because of information I'm not privy to, but that's the way it kind of looks to me. The fact that Binance US is still strong, still going in the US, Binance is still accessible to many through VPNs. If you're in a country that's banned it, or just if you're not in a country, the fact that it's still going is a really good sign. And until it's not, you can assume that Binance is going to be a major player in crypto moving forward. And if China and the US can't bring it down, you just expect more upside for Binance. Not necessarily Binance Coin, but for the organization. All right, moving on into the next story here. I'm just going to read the headline, but Bitcoin is no longer correlated to U.S. stocks, crypto analytics firm Block-Scholes says. So, that's mostly due to what we've discussed, is the ETF is kind of throwing it off. The speculation around a potential spot ETF for Bitcoin from BlackRock is throwing off the correlation because people want to go ahead and FOMO into Bitcoin. We're seeing that reflected on the price over the last month. 19 billion in trade stranded on water as Canada's West Coast labor negotiations hit pause. Guys, we've seen where the shipping industry, the supply chain, has interfered with the economy of the world quite a bit. We're seeing it now. This could escalate and become more significant. But as of now, it's just another regional spat between Canada and its laborers. Canada just cannot seem to get along with laborers. And I'm not really sure why. So we'll see, especially in the transportation industry. All right, moving along here. Crypto exchange Gemini tables final 1.5 billion offer for Barry Silbert's DCG. This is something that's kind of a shoe that is yet to fall, and it looks like Gemini is trying to play a big card here and saying your games are over to Barry Silbert. So we'll see how that pans out. And then one of our last stories, I believe, is DCA the way? Diligent Bitcoin buyers declared back in the black. So this is important to know because there's a shift happening in the psychological trading of a lot of Bitcoin traders and investors, is that they are now back in profit. That's definitely the case for one of my accounts that was not in profit for a while, is now in profit. So it's something to keep in mind. There's a lot of different ways that can be effective. So other than that, there's the Biden story. I don't think we need to cover it too much unless you wanted to, Tim. But basically, the headline is that a judge has blocked Biden's admin. Judge has blocked Biden administration's social media censorship move. I'll go ahead and get into some of the details here. An injunction will block key agencies and officials from the Biden administration from engaging in meetings and communications with social media companies concerning protected speech. The ongoing case has the potential to significantly impact the First Amendment. So, definitely not what the Biden administration was anticipating there. So, Piper, I kind of want to hear what you think about this one, actually. And Tim, I'm sure you'll have an opinion about it as well.
So, censorship. I don't really think that it's so much censorship. Because like, what was the title of the article there? I don't see it. Hold on one second. Let me look here. Yeah, Biden admin social media censorship move. Okay, so executive branch, love you to death. So look, you can't censorship social media. Okay, it applies. It is there. You can't. Freedom of speech applies to technology, and if he wants to go in and try to take away those rights, then maybe he should relook at what he swore to do as a president and everything. For the American people, because we have rights in America, and we just literally celebrated what happens when you take away our rights yesterday. So it's just a little warno for him there. I can say these things now because I'm a civilian and I am not under the purview of the president of the United States anymore. So no, look, censorship. I'm glad the judge did the right thing. The judge looked at law and he knows law obviously better than politicians do. And I hope to see more judges come out like that and speak their mind and speak their piece in power of the people and our rights. So there you go.
Yeah. As far as my thoughts, I want to start by saying, maybe people are asking, hey, why are we, we're a crypto channel, we're an investing channel. Why are we talking about this? I'm going to explain that in a second. I want to start by saying, I think I'm kind of done. I think I'm kind of done censoring myself on political views. We need to start calling spades spades. What Biden is doing, it has nothing to do with the fact that he is a Democrat. It has nothing to do with the fact that he has more liberal thinking. I have met so many Democrats and so many liberal thinkers that maybe I disagree with certain issues on, but I respect them, and I honestly believe that some of their ideas, they're really wanting to accomplish what's best for people, right? You can always have, that's what debate's for. Debate's about taking two ideas and then debating it out. When it comes to Joe Biden, when it comes to a lot of people that are in power right now, they really are just going after everything that makes this country great. And in this particular situation, some of the things that kind of warranted the judge even taking a look at what he was doing from the White House was censoring anti-Biden speech. He was talking about people who were coming out and implying that he stole the election, people talking about him and Hunter Biden, his son, people talking about him in a negative way. And what he was trying to do was censor anyone who speaks negatively about him. Tell me who that sounds like. I don't care what his social beliefs are or any other belief. Whatever you believe, it's up to you. But when you censor someone who disagrees with you, that is a dictator. That is something Hitler did. That is something Mussolini did. That is something that when you look at every single evil human being that ruled a country in history, that was one of their number one things they did was get rid of anybody who says anything opposite of my thinking or talks badly about me. So that's number one, why I think it's very important we cover this. The second thing is, guys, he has, now we're kind of taking it back into crypto and investing realm. He has specifically gone out and attacked your right to be a crypto investor. In fact, one of his things that he's claiming to try to help people with is that I'm going to shut these loopholes of all of these crypto traders and make sure they're paying their fair share of taxes so that you, the American people, don't have to pay as much. Joe, who do you freaking think is trading crypto? It's us, the people. The people that you think that you're trying to help. We are sitting here in a spot that we're saying, I don't know if I'm adequately providing for my family in the normal realm of having a job. I mean, I was listening to an interview yesterday, and I know we're about to close it up. I was listening to an interview, and this is very true. If you have more than like two kids, if you're a family with two kids, and you're only making between $80,000 to $120,000, 10 years ago, you're living a very comfortable middle-class life. Now, you are not. But yet, that's still considered high wage. If you get a job for $100,000, that is still considered a high wage. And yet, it's actually getting hard if you have more than 2 kids to raise your family on that level. That is why people are trading crypto. People saw the freedom to be able to actually change their life with generational wealth because there's an amazing decentralized way for them to invest wisely. And Joe Biden is trying to screw that up. In fact, he's actually making it the enemy. And in the claim of trying to help defend you and help you, he is making you an enemy. And it is something that is going to destroy the economy. It's going to destroy the wealth. It's going to be a place of, hey, if we want to make everything fair for everyone, guess what's going to happen? We're going to make everybody poor. I agree. Right now, there is a problem. I look at poverty. I look at poor. I look at the homeless problem, and there needs to be something that solve it. But saying we're going to raise taxes of certain people and get rid of other people's ability to change their wealth to make everything equal, that leads to where everybody is equal in their poverty, and that's not the solution. So I want you guys to know, I mean, if I want everyone to have their opinion. I want you guys to, in chat, let us know what you guys think. That is beautiful. But as far as our censoring ourselves to say we are just a crypto channel, we're just going to keep it about investments, and we're going to stay out of politics, that's not the answer anymore. We are going to talk politics. We're going to be fair with it. We're going to be open-minded with it. If we say something that is wrong, we're going to be very open to critique and people helping educate us to continue to grow our knowledge. But the time to say, let's separate crypto and politics, the government already ended that. Elizabeth Warren ended that. Joe Biden ended that. No, it's not the time anymore. Crypto is political. It's time that we all think that way. That's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you for listening to my rant, my Tim talk. We will be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Again, go follow James Pelton, one of my new favorite people in the crypto realm. Love each and every single last one of you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.